What is Dental Year? Dental Year is the leading marketing app in dentistry. Created by marketers, this resourceful platform helps your dental practice in a variety of ways. Content inspiration, real-time marketing ideas, tips on ROI with your current methods, fresh resources, and lots more.
Hi, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Buzz. I'm your host, Brad, and we have a super special guest today. We have Ken Kaufman, who is just a leader in the DSO space and venture capitalist background, private equity background, the founder of the Dental Finance Forum. He's got an incredible book out right now that we're going to talk about. And so it's always a pleasure and an honor to have leaders in dentistry on the show. So Ken, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Brad, thank you so much. I'm excited to be on this podcast and spend this time with you. Looking forward to it.
Likewise. I want to first begin with, what is the Dental Finance Forum? Is it? Like, what is that? It sounds real interesting.
Sure. So I've found, having been in dental as long as I have, since 2006, in some type of business or finance function. And I found that finance people, especially CFOs, senior finance leaders, are generally not great at networking. And so we're all kind of in our silos trying to solve problems. And the more I thought about it, I realized there's so many things that are the same when you're building a DSO, that if we could get some finance leaders together to maybe brainstorm or mastermind, we could share some ideas and concepts and save each other a headache or multiple headaches as we're trying to either, centralize a call center or find a good outsourced RCM solution or, whatever it is. And so I created this mastermind. I found 6 CFOs that would kind of start with me as we, just have our inaugural meeting. It's now been up and live for over 2 years. We meet every month, and finance leaders from all over dental show up, and we share ideas. Burning questions are submitted prior to, and we just kind of have a jam session for an hour to hour and 15 minutes. And everybody walks away with, first of all, there's a feeling of, okay, I'm not in this alone. There are other people working on this stuff and trying to solve this stuff like me. And then sometimes you walk away with great vendor suggestions to help solve certain problems. And then other ideas and concepts that are brought up, just from the body of the group. It's a great think tank.
I love that. And did you say it's virtual or in person?
Oh, it's virtual.
Cool. That sounds great. There's nothing like being around community and having people to talk to and idea generation and support. So you mentioned call centers during that description. I got a question for you because you come from the DSO space, and I think most of the audience on the Buzz podcast and most of our clients are standalone locations, awesome cosmetic practices, members of AACD, doing really nice dentistry, obviously great offices. I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 1 to 2.5-ish, who knows, right? Like it varies, but those types of offices standalone. And so I always say on the show, copy genius, right? Like, what are the purple mattresses of the world doing? What's Lululemon doing? What's, even watching the Super Bowl, like some of the advertising, it's so creative, right? Like we always got to look for. Last night we went out to this cool restaurant here in Chicago called La Coloniale. And like, I was just getting ideas from like the posters on the wall leading to the bathroom. Like, oh my gosh, it's so smart. Like little things, right? So with you in obviously DSOs and the call centers, like you understand there's a need for capturing all these leads that all these locations are getting. You need a call center. But I can't tell you how many times a standalone location that might be trying to sell all on 4 dental implants, they don't have an answer. They don't have someone that answers the phone during lunch, Thursdays when they close, they're done for the weekend. What's your take on answering the phone? Should all offices have an answering service, and how to go about that?
It's a great question. And to be clear, the need for the phone goes up the higher the dollar amount of the treatment that you're offering to your patients or that you're diagnosing for your patients. So if you've just got a nice hygiene office with a really solid recare base that's coming in, most likely online scheduling is going to solve a majority of it. Because more and more in this day and age, we really don't want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. It's much easier if you've got an online scheduling. So I would always say start with online scheduling even before you go to a call center. Then it absolutely, you're exactly right. The chance of somebody calling back if they've tried once and they don't get through, you just lose that opportunity. And the question is, how much money and time and effort have you spent to nurture that lead to get them to the place where they're willing to pick up the phone and call? What happens if you're not answering the phone is all those dollars are just flushing down the drain. And so to have a backup service that picks up maybe times when you're closed or when staff are on lunch or staggering lunches so that there could always be somebody to, grab the phone, or having, just a completely separate centralized call center of some sort is another option. Now, if you've got one office, it doesn't make sense really to centralize. Like you have one office, that is your centralized spot, but you can definitely outsource some, if not all, of the call center functions. And then you've just, the more expensive and the bigger the treatment plans that you're building for your patients, your call center becomes less of taking an order and more of needing to educate. And they need to be really qualified in the services that you provide to help get those patients over the line to be willing to come in either for a consultation or ultimately to have a full diagnosis done and treatment plan put together.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then ideally you want who's ever answering the phone at these call centers to have integration with at least your, let's call it just CRM. So the office knows who the lead is, it's coming in. And then even if you're outsourcing to like some call center that's like not even in dental, there's some great providers out there, obviously. If you have a public, Next Health scheduling widget, then you could ask them to actually try to schedule it as well. But most importantly, it's just kind of capturing that lead in a couple of rings and making sure they don't bounce and go somewhere else, and saying it might just be like, oh, great, we'll call you back first thing Monday morning, whatever it is. And we're starting to recommend now, because I get it, like some offices are like, listen, we don't want to pay $10 a call. And I think it's actually, it's like one of those quality bills. Like you would want that $400 bill every month, right? Because especially if you just have that number dedicated for like a new patient hotline, and they get rid of a lot of the spam stuff, and you're pretty much just getting that bill for like real patient calls. You could put it on AdWords. But besides the call, which is such a big thing, like getting even before you spend another dollar on marketing, answer the call. What other leaky things do you see? It could be broken contact forms, not responding to DMs on Instagram. Are there any other things you're seeing in the DSO space when you go in there, you're like, just close these leaks before you do anything else?
Absolutely. And it starts with the first time they've clicked on something, or that you've got them at the beginning of the funnel. There are so many places where things get leaky really fast.
Yeah.
It could even be that right now your AdWords campaigns are not attracting the right patient avatar that you're looking for. So there's that tweak up front. Make sure you're getting the most qualified leads for the type of stuff that you're trying to do, and whatever your expertise is, or the services you want to offer. So that's one piece is try to qualify as much as possible. Then the nurturing process all the way through needs to be geared, Brad, around helping the patient get comfortable coming into the office, getting comfortable with a treatment plan being presented, and ultimately getting comfortable with getting that treatment done before they get out of the chair and leave. And it literally can start with, if say your process is they click on a lead, they get the phone number, they call in to schedule an appointment. The first thing you want that person answering the phone to say is, hey, thank you so much for calling. Dr. So-and-so would be so excited to see you. By the way, he's a great doctor. I bring my family there. He's really kind, and all of his patients seem to just love him. And we would love to have you come in and be a part of this. So you see how there's this opportunity to just condition and prepare the patients to be able to accept a treatment plan, and then maybe even stay in the chair and get the treatment done that day before they slip out. And I mean, right? Every minute that patient is outside of the office after the treatment plan has been presented, the less likely they're going to actually come back. So those are just a few of the leaks that I see very commonly.
So I love that you're saying this, but how does that office schedule? They got the hour block, let's say, for a new patient exam. They're block booked. They're banging out. They got a full schedule. They barely got time to get lunch. They do a case presentation first day that patient's ever been in the office for veneers. I mean, so are you saying like if we could do them today, and then there's got to be systems in place to actually do that whole process right there and then?
I would say you need to be thinking about how to try to make that happen. I don't know if how possible it is with veneers. I don't have as much experience with that treatment.
Okay.
But you've got to figure out and ultimately plan free time for the doctor to be able to take that stuff on. And the rest of the staff is handling as much as they possibly can. And if you think about it, you're able to make time 6 weeks from now in your schedule. What if 6 weeks earlier you had made time in the schedule to just knock it out that day, or get some portion of the treatment done so that they're in progress and then they can come back for their final product installation or whatever, right?
That's nice. Like some type of start. Like even if it's like an Invisalign, let's take the impressions, obviously, instead of saying, come back in 3 weeks to start the Invisalign. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of offices are trying to do this, but that's really key. And it does get a little tricky with the scheduling, obviously, but if they could figure out that, intent-based experience that they kind of know, listen, we feel like X amount of people are going to start or want to start right away. Let's get that done. That would have a huge, huge impact on just productivity, revenues, profitability, and everything else.
That's right. You spend all this money to bring them in. They're in your office. You've built a beautiful treatment plan for them. They want it. And to send them away, like anything you can do in your block scheduling to make it happen and to take a down payment or a deposit of some sort toward the treatment that they're moving forward on, huge.
Yeah. Speaking of down payments and patient experiences, what's your take on the dental membership initiatives at the DSO level?
I love it. It can be a game changer. And we're in an interesting time economically, where unemployment is at all-time lows since 1969, yet we have all these signs of recession everywhere else with an inverted yield curve and with inflation still being so high and all these different things. Most likely some people are going to lose jobs here at some point, and they're going to lose insurance coverage. The membership plan is fantastic for that exact situation. So I'm a big fan and a big proponent, as well as I'm a big fan of providing patient financing to help patients with that monthly payment. Okay,
I love that. In terms of patient financing, what about like buy now, pay later? The Sunbits, which is an amazing platform company. Like, do you like offices implementing that as well?
Absolutely. I'm a huge advocate of it. I can go and buy something for $50 on Amazon and they're offering to split it up in 4 payments for me.
Right.
It's like, really?
Right.
We have to compete with that, and we should compete with that, and we should try to offer, a similar thing, because our patients are paying everybody else that way. So why shouldn't our dental office offer them similar types of conveniences?
Totally. But back to the membership thing real quick, because I completely agree. Like if you look at like publicly traded companies with the greatest valuations, most of those have built-in membership plans because investors have a little more peace of mind. They know like every quarter, like there's almost built-in revenues. I gave a presentation a few years ago, right when I started exploring membership plans and looking into it for offices. And I said, does anyone here have a dental membership plan? And it was like a really small dental implant study club in Riverside, California. And one person raised their hand, and I was like, how many do you have? He's like, we have over 1,000 members. And I thought, whoa, 1,000 members. And everyone like turned around, they're like 1,000. It was like a holy cow. Like, so you just think of those values. So built-in revenue is great for a practice. And I get it. Some offices don't want to give your 10, 20% off cosmetic treatments for members. You don't have to, right? Your membership plan could like literally only be like 2 cleanings a year, right? It could be come to our annual pizza party. Like you don't have to give away, you can, but you don't have to give out 20% to cosmetic treatments. And I would probably advise you maybe not to, because it might lower the perception of value of your clinical excellence. But after hearing about his 1,000 members, it really got me thinking, this is a no-brainer, right? So we're partnering up with Claire, which is obviously a great platform for kind of automating like the software element of memberships. At the DSO level, I'm curious, like for the offices with like a lot of locations, are they building out their own internal softwares? Are they basically like using like Claire or another like white label approach?
Yeah, most of them use white label. And the honest truth here is it's compliance related. Because a membership plan generally falls under the state insurance commission's regulatory body. and you do not want to have to go create your own insurance program with them. And so it's compliance from that perspective. And then also, if you're offering some services within this membership plan that are undercutting other payers that you're contracted with, and you're undercutting those rates, that could also be a huge compliance issue. And so when you have outsourced it to an outside body, that my understanding is that gives you some amount of protection, so that you're not exposed if you're in an insurance audit, or if the insurance commission comes knocking at your door because you're offering a quasi insurance program.
Oh, interesting. That's a really unique perspective. Okay, that's good to know. So even more incentive than to call up Clear and see what they're offering. I think they just take a small piece per patient. So in terms of like DSOs, I know this is a weird question because every practice, every business, every DSO is different. And we all need our own marketing initiatives, our own branding, our own it is like, what's that term? Kaizen, like daily improvement, like little iterations. And then you got Darren Hardy with the compound effect. That's what marketing is, like every single day making little improvements. So like the wording on your call to action button, your header images, how fast your website, like little iterations every day. At the DSO level, it's a little bigger of a beast to move. But right now in this competitive landscape with the gong show with Google AdWords, even though PPC is still very important, but changing algorithms, the updates last week with Bard, updates with Google and SEO. Like, what are you seeing are like success factors for marketing a practice, like the DSOs? Like, what do you see they have to do, or maybe some interesting stories recently you're like, wow, that was a great marketing idea to implement?
Yeah, I have to start at the very beginning of the process, and that is you've got to define your patient avatar. Who is it that you are trying to serve? Too often, general dentistry practices just feel like, hey, I put my sign up and I'll do some general billboard marketing, maybe some flyers, maybe try a little, AdWords or those sorts of things. And then they end up with all kinds of patients coming in with no ability to kind of dial in and specialize and really hone their craft in one area and create a little bit of a niche for themselves. So to me, it really comes down to the doctor deciding who do they want to serve and how do they want to serve them. You get that clear, and then all of a sudden, all the other steps in marketing start to make sense. Like if your patient base doesn't click on Google ads, then if your avatar, when you study them and understand them, you're like, oh, I'm not going to waste money on Google ads. They respond to mailers, they respond to whatever. So to me, it's starting like with the end in mind of what treatment is it that you really want to be great at, and then go and figure out who the ideal qualified candidate is for that, and just cater marketing to them. Just that alone. And I see DSOs moving this way more and more and more. And I fear that that's if a single doctor office, an owner office isn't keeping up with that trend, they're going to start to have some challenges with bringing the right kind of patients in.
I agree. It's a great way to start. Even if you're just running pay-per-click on AdWords and you're targeting a 10-mile radius of your office, if you're really just focusing on an older demographic who's interested in restorative or implants, you could just edit your audience and target 50 plus, 60 plus. You could certain household income levels. So you could go by zip code. So you can get and we have found, and I'm sure you see this also, but so we could take care of everything, all the daily content, all the video, the website, the SEO, setting up everything, cranking. The one thing the owner of the practice needs to just tell their marketing person, their team, their agency specifically is specific locations, right? Like we have an office that they have a 60-mile radius on AdWords. I would have never thought that's even a possibility, but where they're at with so much land and space, it makes sense. And I just got a text from them yesterday. Since we added another 10-mile radius, it's another 10, they've seen a considerable jump in new patients. After I was like, are you sure you went in another 10? But I have no idea. Just because they live there, they know, right? And that's different. Like if you're in like a really, like you're Manhattan, one block away, another zip code away, you're wasting your entire spend, right? And so that's really important to focus on locations for pay-per-click. And I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to call this podcast episode, Who is Your Patient Avatar?
That sounds great. And I love that the example you just gave of that rural community, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's a 60-mile radius. The interesting thing in that environment is their competitive advantage is access. they're there and they're open and they're accepting new patients. And so when you embrace that and you realize, okay, that means I probably need to be kind of broad in the treatments that I'm offering, because I'm going to get kids, I'm going to get adults, I'm going to get more geriatric type patients, and then understanding like all of that then drives what type of practice you build, what equipment you should have, and what capabilities you need to make sure that you have.
Totally. What's your take on, so like that whole conversion rate when these new patients are coming in? Let's say an office wants to get 40 new patients a month, hypothetically, right? Like how many quote unquote leads should it take to get there, right? Because 10% of 400 leads is 40 new patients. Is that the number, or what's an office supposed to convert through their funnels? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So let me give you a little bit of a scale so we can think about first. So on a scale, the more niched down a practice is, the fewer leads it takes to get that practice filled up, because you can be so targeted, right, and so direct with exactly what you're looking for. If it's a more general office, it's going to be a little bit, there's more hit and miss, and there's going to just be a little bit more waste in the spend, but net, right? If it's driving the right number of patients in and the spend is all within reason, then it should work out just fine. I think that from somebody clicking on an ad to them showing up in your office, if you've got a 10% show rate, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I like that. Okay, because I didn't know a number, and 10% is nice. So that's realistic, right? Like, that office then would probably have to get 1,600 visitors to their website, right? With that CRO from whatever that 1,600, whatever this. So there's like two CROs, conversion rate optimization. There's a CRO to get the lead, and then to actually then to book the lead. It's kind of this double whammy thing.
And then to get them to show, right? Right. It's not even enough to book. It's all the way to show.
So is the ultimate hack like making sure they fill out the online forms, having that, even if they book online, having the front desk or call center have like some type of text or call? Like, is there an ultimate hack to increasing that show rate?
Yes. Unfortunately, there's no like one perfect lever to pull. Yeah. You end up needing to pull lots. So there's email, text, phone calls. And in each of those instances, again, I think scripting is huge. What does the email say? What does the text say? What does the phone call say? So, and it all needs to come back to the focus of the practice, to who the provider is, and thinking, what can I say to help this patient feel comfortable to come in and meet with this doctor so that the doctor can properly diagnose and present a treatment plan, and get them, how can I help them be ready to accept what the doctor has to say in terms of the treatment that they need to move forward with?
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. I love it. Your perspective on this coming from the DSO world is really, really interesting, and a whole different light on some things that we work with, these single locations every day, which is really cool. So you mentioned Avatar, which we're going to use in the title. Are you very excited about AI or artificial intelligence? ChatGPT has been a game changer for the agency since we started. By the way, so every call, like we do strategy sessions like on a regular basis with our clients, hopefully most of them that love to do it. And so I always have ChatGPT open now just to like make us faster and smarter, right? Like, so I was on a call last week with this really cool practice that wants to do more like single implant cases, whatever. And it was right around National Pizza Day. So as a joke, I'm on ChatGPT. I'm like, write us a commercial for a dentist eating a slice of pizza, talking about dental implants, and also include some dental humor. And they wrote us this like ChatGPT wrote us this like 30-second commercial. And we were like reading it in real time going, all right, that's unbelievable technology. It's crazy. It's so funny. It's great. And I kind of forgot about it So we got a piece of content from them celebrating Pizza Day. That was a great picture. We posted it on social. And like a couple of days later, our editor, PK, who's a rock star, he's like, dude, you gotta watch this video. The office said, like, they did it. And I'm telling you, it's like the greatest piece of content in the history of Dentainment. I am so stoked about this. I'm not taking credit for this. ChatGPT wrote the script, right? And it's the questions. And so artificial intelligence it's the first time literally like we've ever really had the power, like understood the power of AI, from creativity to inputs to idea generation. I mean, it's not years away. It's like weeks away. Every day I'm hearing about another platform. Image creation platforms. We're using this really cool video platform now called Synthesia. That's all AI. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? And so where are you seeing AI now and moving forward in the DSO space? How is it going to be impacting everything they do?
Yeah, let me share one example. I've got my chat GPT pulled up right now with a most recent piece that I did. So we're constantly trying to figure out how to help our practice managers be more effective in what they do.
Yeah.
And so I did a very simple, hey, how do I train new managers to have crucial conversations with their staff? A really nice, 5 bullet point thing came out. It's like, okay, this is awesome. Then I said, hey, can you create a role play model to demonstrate how a new manager can give employees this feedback? Boom, got it. And then the last thing I did, which was super impressive, I said, could you please tailor this to a dental office practice manager? And what happened was all these dental words were coming in and it filled it out, and it was so robust. And I'm like, right in this format, I could hand this over to somebody. They could go in and sit in front of a practice manager and in 30 minutes have them fully competent on how to take on difficult conversations with employees.
It's unbelievable. I love it. That exact script, by the way, you could create an avatar for the dentist of that practice, do text to voice and clone the voice, have an avatar made of that dentist, put it in his or her voice, feed the script, and then they could just access the video at scale anytime. It's like a training module.
Boom. There you go. You got it.
ChatGPT is a game changer. It's unbelievable.
It is. I love it.
So I love it. And so this is great. In terms of your favorite, are there any, I want to hear about your book. First, tell me about your book. Tell me about the book. Tell us about the book, how we get it on Amazon, obviously. And then also, if you could tell me about the process of finishing up the book with Ashley, and like, what did that look like? Were there times you're like, we can't put this out there because things are changing so fast, or it wasn't good enough? Like, what were the blockages you had to get through, if any, to finish this book?
Yeah, sure. So the title of the book is DEO's Financial Secrets to Grow Dental Organizations.
Okay.
The purpose of this was to try to address a lot of key financial clarity tools that dentist entrepreneurs and practice owners were just missing, and honestly leaving money on the table or money falling off the back of the truck, whatever analogy you want to use. And having been in and around this, so my first CFO job, which is Chief Financial Officer in dentistry, was in 2006. So I've been in and around this industry for a long time. And after a while, I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing. I started to get asked to speak at events and get people calling and asking for advice. And I said, all right, I've got to get this just all down into a book so I can just get this information out. Because from my perspective, I think it's wildly valuable. And I think those that have engaged in buying the book and those things, I've heard a lot of great comments about the massive value that it's brought. That being said, I decided, because here's the problem, Brad. If I asked you, tell me the last finance book that you read that was a real page turner, how would you answer?
It'd be a tough answer.
Yeah, you're snoring already, right?
Right.
And so what I did was I went to my daughter, Ashley, and I said, look, I want to write this book. And she's like, that's going to be boring. And I said, I know. So she's a budding novelist. And I said, how about if you create a fictitious but very realistic dentist who is trying to grow and scale? So she has 5 dental practices and she's trying to figure out how to keep growing. Why don't you create this character? And we'll have this character go throughout the book where she's running into these problems and challenges. And then right when we get to that part of the book, then I jump in with technical content about how to fix the problem and how to use a clarity tool to do that. And we just like are bouncing back and forth through the whole book where Julia is showing up with problems. And the cool thing is, Brad, that dentists relate to her because I just been around dentistry long enough. I was able to pump all this information into my daughter about how they think and how they operate. And then I took her to a DEO event where she talked to dentist entrepreneurs for 2 straight days as like some research. And then, so all of that came together in the book. Our first crack at it was 2018, but it was not until the beginning of 2022 that I said, we've got to knock this out. So we said, we're going to get this done by the end of 2022. We really kicked it off January 1st. And then we launched in November of 2022.
So it's nice you had Ashley to work on the book with you. Obviously, that's great for throwing ideas around and setting deadlines and goals and getting this done. Because I think I told you briefly, I'm working on this dental marketing book, and it's like one hack was just I put volume 1 on the cover. And for years I've been working on this, but it's like even now, like I got to put a chapter on there for Bing because Bing just implemented ChatGPT. And I think over the next few months, Bing is going to really grow in search, obviously. Google stock is going to continue to come down. And I would say offices should start spending on Bing and working on SEO there. It's like, but I don't like, do you even include that in the book? That's like last week's news that I'm like talking about. Like, and so marketing books are tough. So finance, business, super important, but but
Brad, my suggestion to you would be don't let perfectionism get in the way of really awesome and good.
Okay.
And then the cool thing is then you can do another volume, or you can, create a bunch of extra content around the book to say, hey, here's some new stuff that came out about the book. And you keep your readers engaged that way, and you start to create a community. I'm talking to a marketing person here, but that's where the real value comes.
I appreciate it. I needed to hear that because progress rather than perfection. And like, I have something at the beginning of the book saying, this is changing fast. But like by the time they read the book, TikTok will probably be banned. Like, like things are changing so fast. It's like, it's crazy. So before I let you go, I got to ask you, are there any brands or companies or entrepreneurs that are really aspirational for you that you follow or you feel like you gravitate to, or podcasts that you enjoy, or books, anything that you like love and are inspired by that you want to share?
Yeah. I'm inspired by other business books that use stories to bring principles across. So I'm a huge Patrick Lencioni fan. And I really like his book. 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is off the charts in terms of amazing. But his book, The Advantage, is where he takes all the core principles and really puts them together. And it's really helpful to build an organization, build a culture, all that. So I've been a big fan of his for a long time. Wow. I have another one. This one is way off the wall probably, but I'm a finance person and I am interested in what's happening in the market, and I'm investing, right? I'm putting money in all the time and trying to build that side, to build that passive income for retirement down the road. There's a guy named Paul Merriman that is a retired financial advisor, and he gives away a ridiculous amount of free information and recommendations about ETFs you should be in, how you should build your portfolios. And I'm a do-it-yourself investor. And so if anybody's a do-it-yourself type of person when it comes to investing, this guy's content is off the charts. And nice. He's dropping podcasts every week. I've just become a real fan of his and what he's doing. And he actually set the whole thing up as a charitable organization. Because they're doing financial education. That's one of the 9 ways to qualify as a 501c3 organization. So he takes donations, but they have free books, they have free content. It's incredible.
I'm going to check out Paul Merriman. Thank you so much for providing that inspiration. That's awesome, dude. Thank you. All right, this is great. All right, I could talk to you all day, but we're gonna wrap this. So you're kind enough to. First off, you're part of or one of the co-founders of the Dentist Entrepreneur Organization, right?
Yeah, I'm a partner in the organization. That's correct.
So DEO, incredible organization, obviously just really well known. And I think you're kind enough to have a promo code for the audience here, right?
Yeah. So every year in June, the DEO puts on its growth summit. And this is the type of place where if you feel stuck in your practice, and if you have just one practice, that's okay. If you feel stuck, Or if you're thinking, I've got one practice, I want to go to 2, or I've got 2 and I want to go to 3. This is the event you want to go to, because everything here is about helping dentists get unstuck and figure out where to go. So if you're looking for more profit, more impact, more time for yourself and your business, this is the event. And so what the DEO has been awesome enough to give me, knowing that I was going to be on your podcast today, Brad. There's a $300 off the admission ticket available. Plus, they'll throw in a free paperback copy of my book, DEO's Financial Secrets to Grow Dental Organizations. So to get access to that, you just need to go to deosummit.com.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's deosummit.com. And then if you use the promo code DEO Ken, Ken, which is me, mm-hmm. $300 off and a free paperback copy of my book.
That's huge. Thanks so much. When and where is that summit?
Oh, I should have said that. I'm sorry. It's in San Diego, beautiful San Diego.
San Diego?
Cannot beat the location. And it's June 8th through 10th.
No, really? I'll see you there, dude. I'll be in LA probably, so we'll drive down and hang out.
Let's do it. You know what, Brad, what we should do, because I'm very active in hosting podcasts on the DSO podcasts, or DSO Secrets podcast that's out there. It's actually part of how DEO tries to add value to the dental industry in general. We should record a podcast live at that event for all and you can invite your listeners, and all of the DSO Secrets listeners will show up. We should do it.
Ken, thank you. I'm there, and I'm super stoked. I can't believe it's in San Diego. I love it. Thank you so much. And I joke whenever I hear San Diego, I love it. But Will Ferrell from Anchorman, he's like, San Diego. Still one of the greatest movies in the history of cinema, and the outtakes on YouTube are just classic. Great stuff. I'm excited to see you in June in San Diego. Ken, thank you for all the inspiration and value you shared with our Buzz audience members today. I can't thank you enough.
Hey, Brad, it's been awesome to spend the time with you. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Pleasure. You guys, everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Buzz. Make sure you get your $300 promo code at deosummit.com. The promo code is DEO Ken. DEO Ken is the promo code. Make sure to grab Ken Kaufman's book on Amazon. And if you incorporate some of this inspiration and wisdom for your systems, capturing leads, getting rid of the leaks, you'll have more success, more profitability, and most importantly, you'll be a wizard of buzz. Take care.
If you're looking for more reach, engagement, and conversion with your dental practice marketing, download the Dental Year app today.